Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited about this episode because today I'm diving deep into something all MMA fans love talking about, the 10 most violent fighters in UFC history. You know the ones I mean. These are the fighters who bring insane energy, wild power, and make every fight absolutely unforgettable. When I say violent, I'm not talking about the kind of mean you see in movies or cartoons. I mean the fighters who step into the octagon with one goal: to dominate, to thrill, and to leave their mark by throwing everything they have. These are the people who turn regular matches into epic battles. And honestly, they're the reason so many of us watch UFC in the first place. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and help us grow so we can bring you even more awesome UFC content. Let's get started. We're starting this journey off with someone every old-school MMA fan respects. Wanderlei Silva, also known as the Axe Murderer. Even his nickname sounds scary, right? Wanderlei made his biggest waves first in Pride, the Japanese MMA league, and when he came over to the UFC, fans knew something wild was about to happen. I still remember watching his fights where he would charge at his opponents from the very first second. Just wild, non-stop aggression. He became famous for his trilogy against Kazushi Sakuraba. In one fight, Wanderlei's relentless attack left Sakuraba so battered that you could barely recognize him afterwards. Silva was all about those hooks and knees. When he clinched up, you knew a violent storm was coming. But what makes Wanderlei stand out is how he never seemed to get tired or hesitant. He took shots, shook them off, and just kept coming. His showdowns with Quentin Rampage Jackson are also legendary. If you've never seen them, go check them out and watch a masterclass in wild, aggressive fighting. But Wanderlei's violence wasn't just about hurting people, it was about passion, energy, and putting on a show for the fans. He wasn't the biggest guy in the division, but his reputation as an all-time violent fighter remains untouched. Next, we've got a fighter who's all about heart. Diego Sanchez. If you want to know what it looks like to give everything you have in the cage, watch Diego fight. He doesn't just go into a match to win, it feels like he's going to war. Sanchez is the kind of fighter who can take 20 hard punches and still move forward, swinging back with twice the energy. The perfect example? His fight with Clay Guida. This match literally went into the UFC Hall of Fame. The two of them threw punches, knees, kicks, anything that could land. At one point, Diego's flying knee sent Guida's mouthpiece flying out, but neither of them backed down. Even when Diego was tired or bleeding, he just wouldn't quit. You could see in his eyes that he was there for the fight, not just the win. People love Diego because he brings pure guts and raw violence every single time. Up next, we've got Anthony "Rumble" Johnson, a fighter known for his unreal knockout power. If you saw his fight with Alexander Gustafsson, you know what I'm talking about. That match turned the arena silent. Rumble hit Gustafsson so hard it looked like the entire world stopped for a second. But Johnson wasn't just throwing wild shots, he could be calm and focused, waiting for the opening to put his opponent out cold with one punch. This guy is one of the biggest knockout artists in UFC history. Rumble started at welterweight, but eventually found his home in light heavyweight, where his power just became legendary. Every time Rumble was in the octagon, commentators and fans would talk about how no one was safe for even a second. What I find cool about him is how intimidating he was. Guys stepped into the cage knowing a single mistake could get them knocked out violently. He really made every fight feel like you just had to watch until the very last second.
Anderson "The Spider" Silva is one of the most creative and dangerous strikers ever in UFC. He's not called a legend for nothing. Some people might think his style is too smooth to be violent, but just watch his knockout over Vitor Belfort. Silva lands a front kick right to Belfort's face, and the fight is over. It's famous for a reason. His quick movement, combined with his insane reach, made him deadly. Silva's violence came from accuracy and creativity. His knockouts looked like they belonged in a highlight reel. He could dodge and weave, then explode with a sudden punch or a sneaky kick to finish things. Some of his best moments look like slow-motion choreography. They're beautiful and scary at the same time. If you ask any fighter who they'd least want to stand with, Silva's name almost always pops up. Fans remember not just the brutality, but how Silva made fighting look so easy. He wasn't the guy throwing 20 wild shots. He'd wait for his moment, then deliver a move so fast and clean the other fighter was down before anyone realized what had happened. That's a different kind of violence that is just as legendary as any brawl. Moving into heavyweight territory, let's talk about Derrick Lewis. I mean, who doesn't love watching a guy who can turn a match upside down with a single punch? Lewis holds the record for most knockouts in UFC history, and if you've seen his fight against Travis Brown, you know exactly why he's called the Knockout King. Lewis has this style where he sometimes seems tired or on the back foot, but then, bam, he explodes and flattens his opponent. It's almost like he's just waiting for the right second when no one expects it, then all that violence comes at once. Fans are always on the edge of their seats during his matches because the fight can change at any moment. Lewis's knockouts aren't sneaky. They're big, loud, and unforgettable. Also, you have to respect the way Lewis handles himself after these wild finishes. After crushing someone with a punch, he's known for funny interviews and keeping things light.
Derrick, why'd you take your pants off? My balls was hot.
Even though his fighting style is absolutely fierce, that combo has made him a fan favorite and a true heavyweight legend in terms of violent finishing power. Now let's talk about Charles Oliveira. If you love slick submissions but still want to see some real violence, Oliveira is your guy. He started off as a submission expert, breaking the record for most finishes by submission in UFC, but that's not all. Over time, Charles developed a super aggressive striking game. A great example of his violent finishing power came against Michael Chandler at UFC 262. Charles got rocked early on, but stayed in it. Then in the second round, dropped Chandler with a sharp left hook and finished him off for a wild TKO to secure the lightweight championship. Oliveira's style is intense. He stalks his opponent, puts on non-stop pressure, and never lets them breathe. But what really makes Oliveira stand out is how quickly he can finish a fight, whether it's with a punch, a choke, or an armbar. When he latches onto something, the fight can be over in seconds. He's always hunting for any opportunity, and his violence comes from his aggression on both the feet and the ground.
If you've been a UFC fan for a while, you already know why Robbie Lawler belongs here. The man is a living legend when it comes to wild, violent fights. He's best known for his battle with Rory McDonald at UFC 189. This fight wasn't just a war, it was an all-out brawl that became an instant classic. Both fighters took incredible punishment, but Lawler just wouldn't back down. Lawler's style is pure aggression, power punches, smashing elbows, and those dangerous leg kicks. He's not afraid to stand in the pocket and trade with anyone. What's insane is that even when Lawler gets hurt or tired, he somehow digs deep and comes back even harder. Watching him fight, you always get this sense that he enjoys the chaos. That's rare, and it's why his fights are so memorable. It's not just about power. Robbie packs a serious chin and a will to win that's just as violent as any knockout punch. Every time he steps into the octagon, you know you're going to see something wild. Shifting back to heavyweights, we can't skip Brock Lesnar.
He is the UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Brock Lesnar. You just shove that cop aside.
He's probably one of the most physically intimidating fighters the UFC has ever seen. Brock's background is in wrestling, and he used that to control nearly anyone he faced. What made his fight so violent was his ground and pound. Go watch his matches against Frank Mir or Shane Carwin. Lesnar just flattens his opponents with pure muscle. Once he gets the takedown, he unleashes a storm of punches that barely gives the other guy time to defend. Fans loved watching him because you could see how every second was dangerous for his opponent. Brock brought WWE-level size and power, but in a real fight. He made heavyweight matches feel like monster movies. One wrong move, and you were done. His time in UFC might not have been the longest, but when he was there, you always knew it'd be a wild ride. Up next is Francis Ngannou, the most terrifying knockout artist of the modern era. Ngannou's strength is just off the charts. His knockout of Alistair Overeem is basically required viewing for any fight fan. All it took was a single, perfectly timed uppercut, and the fight was instantly over. What sets Ngannou apart isn't just his power, but how casually he can end things. He doesn't waste time with fancy moves. His game plan is simple. Get close enough to land a clean shot, and it's lights out. Opponents know what's coming, but that doesn't mean they can stop it. Each of Ngannou's knockouts has gone viral for a reason. One hit, and it's usually over. He's made a name for himself as the guy in the heavyweight division you just don't want to risk trading punches with. Fans watch him for those unforgettable split-second finishes that leave everyone in shock.
And last, let's finish off the main list with Justin Gaethje. Justin is a fan favorite for a reason. His fights are always, and I mean always, absolute brawls. His matches with Tony Ferguson and Dustin Poirier are two of the wildest, most violent you'll ever watch. Gaethje just doesn't know how to fight safely. He charges forward, lands huge leg kicks, throws bombs, and accepts whatever comes back in his direction. Fans love Gaethje because he puts it all on the line every single fight. He's not worried about winning a decision. He wants a wild, memorable war. Justin takes big shots, but that's only because he's trying to land even bigger ones. It's pure, non-stop violence that keeps you watching until the final bell, or usually until someone's knocked out. Quick shout out to some other absolute warriors. Jim Miller, who seems to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. Nate Diaz, who brings street fight vibes with endless toughness. Matt Brown with a brawling style that never lets up. Chuck Liddell's legendary Iceman knockouts from back in the day. And Vicente Luque's sharp striking and crazy finishing skills. Each of these fighters could be on this list for their own wild, violent moments. So that's my look at the 10 most violent fighters in UFC history, each one a legend for making the Octagon feel like a true battleground. Whether you love technique, raw power, or pure chaos, these fighters bring something special every time they step in the cage. Let me know in the comments which brutal fight stands out most to you, or if you think someone should have made the main list. Like, subscribe, and get ready for more wild UFC content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.